Hi there, I'm Joanne from TrueAuthenticPower.com from Tapping.me, and I'm also the creator of the program Catapulting to Confidence. If you celebrated some holidays in the recent days, I hope they were full of love and blessings for you. I, for one, am really glad that the frenzied energy is calming down. I don't know about you, but I felt really bombarded by the competitive ads promoting this and by that. Oh my gosh, it's exhausting to feel all that coming at me. It's like dodging bullets. At least for me, that's how it feels. That's why I created holiday tapping audios to use to calm down that overwhelming and, that over the top energy coming at us. I find that frenzied energy really uncomfortable. Though I created the audios for holiday time and the holiday issues, they are really applicable any time of the year if you just change the words. So, have you listened to them? Did you find them helpful? Did they calm you down? I hope so, because that's why I created them. When a new year approaches, many of us go into reflective thinking, forward planning, and the how-tos start swirling in our minds, right? I mean, we've all heard about New Year's resolutions. And we start exploring our inner patterns and evaluating what's working for us in our life and what's not. And it's very common around this time of year. I think a lot of people do that, the New Year's resolution kind of stuff. But it doesn't always just happen at the New Year. Anytime you're making a change, that's kind of what happens. So whether you do anything with those thoughts or not, that's another story though, right? We can think till, as the saying goes, the cows come home. But how often do we take action on that? So when we're serious about wanting positive change, wanting to change something that isn't working in our lives, to become empowered about something, we become seekers of solutions and possibilities and hopefully answers. I'm sure you know, though, that many people, and myself included, especially in the past, yes, I wanted something to change, and yes, I was going to make a new start. And then before I know it, the old habits feel better than the new avenues, right? The old ways are so ingrained that they become easier and safer. Not necessarily better, but easier and safer. You know what I'm talking about. It's easy to fall back into the patterns that we're really trying to get rid of. I want to connect with those seekers who are looking for solutions, not just the replays of the starts and the stops and that make us feel bad all over again because, oh gosh, we haven't done it again. I talk about the subconscious mind a lot when I'm addressing things in these audios or videos, and some people might not know why that's so important, why changing behaviors and patterns are really stuck in the subconscious mind. It is the subconscious mind that controls our skills, habits, emotional reactions, hardwired behaviors over years of replays, conditioned responses based on what we needed to do to stay safe or please other people, the memories, the routines, the thoughts and feelings, the attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions are all housed in the subconscious mind. So you can see why connecting with that part of our mind is so important to produce the answers and changes that we might seek to make, right? It is when we try to change habits and our will and conscious mind thoughts alone and all of those things that we're working on releasing, well, that's the reason why we revert back to the old stuff, the old patterns. You might never change unwanted behaviors or patterns or loops or whatever you want to call it, blocking things that are blocking you, just by talking or thinking your way through an issue. It's when we release the roots and change the automatic replays that can make the changes. Now, that may sound scary to some people, and I want you to know that it actually can be quite comforting when you realize why you've been doing what you're doing. It's almost kind of like, oh, I get it now. And you can actually stop beating yourself up because once you understand, there's a different feeling about it. That's the first step of changing, and it feels good to understand why we do the behavior that we do. It's not that we're lazy, crazy, or stupid. There's some reason why something has gotten stuck, and once you know those things, it actually can be comforting. What gets in our way are the subconscious, unconscious, survival emotions that stress creates. Let me say that again. What can get in our way are the unconscious and subconscious survival emotions that stress creates, especially over a long time. So, what are survival emotions? Well, let me give you the list. There's a bunch of them, and I'm sure you can relate to maybe 1 or 10. There's a bunch, and they can really play havoc with our energy. So, doubt, fear, anger, insecurity, worry, anxiety, judgment, competition, lust, which is not the same as love, hostility, sadness, guilt, shame, and depression. Now, can you relate to any of those? I mean, if you're human, I'm sure you I'm sure you have a few of them if you're human and breathing, or maybe even several of them. You are not alone if your answer was yes. What if you could replace those stress-created survival emotions, though, and replace them with creative emotions? Now, what the heck are creative emotions? Okay, so let me give you a list. Creative emotions are things that enhance your life, that empower your life, that make you feel good about things. So those include things like gratitude, love, joy, inspiration, peace, feeling complete and whole, being able to trust, having a knowingness, using your intuition, being present and feeling empowered. Now, if you even heard what I was saying, I bet you had a reaction even to those words alone. You can stop this recording and go back to that part where I was talking about the stressful survival emotions as opposed to these creative emotions. You will actually probably, if you tune in, feel a difference even in how your body reacts to them. It's that strong. That energy is that powerful. I don't know if you could hear or feel the difference or feel that swing between the stress-induced survival emotions versus the creative emotions, but just a question, which ones would you rather feel? I know what would be my choice. When our subconscious mind has been locked or attached to stress for a long period of time, and boy, can I relate to this. I had a boatload of traumatic events, one after another, and it seemed like they followed me everywhere. Like I couldn't outrun that pattern. If stress has become a constant undercurrent in our life, as it did in my life there for a while, that was hard. We develop an addiction because of the survival emotional replays. You can actually become addicted to the emotions of trauma and drama. If you are drawn to that kind of stuff, if you're like a moth to a flame, you've probably got some addiction to those emotional replays going on. So to release those habitual patterns, we need to change the subconscious beliefs and or the energy that keeps them alive in our body. Okay, so somebody may be asking, what do you mean by keeping emotions alive in your body? When we go into stress, when you go into stress, any kind of stressful reaction, there's usually a change in how we breathe, becomes shorter and more shallow, more quick. Your heartbeat pace may pick up and start to flutter. We may feel a flood of survival emotion reactions that I mentioned just a bit ago. Our hands may get sweaty, our voice may get tight or shaky. You know what I'm talking about. You know when you get into a fearful or stressful mode, and depending on the level of it, there's a physical reaction in our body. It's the body and mind in reaction mode. So what can we do about it? Well, if you're listening to any of my audios or videos, some of them include tapping, and some of them are explanation, info only kind of topics. I've done that on purpose because when people understand why they are doing what they do, a solution doesn't always feel so out of control or out of the realm of possibilities. And that's kind of how I coach and how I want people to understand tapping. You can just tap on this topic or that topic, or, oh yeah, that applies or this applies, but it might not be getting to what's really at the core for you. So I've made a point to teach and share how EFT tapping addresses both the subconscious beliefs and the body reactions. Now, you may do some body work, but if it doesn't change the beliefs in your subconscious mind, you can revert back to that same old, same old. you may do some subconscious work, but if you haven't released the body energy and reaction, that can also stay attached. The reason I love EFT tapping so much is because it addresses both the subconscious and the body reactions at the same time. Now, a lot of people look at this at first blush and say, this technique looks crazy. But there's a proven science behind it now and enough research documentation to prove the effectiveness before and after tapping. I just want to say that right now. I want to introduce you to an avenue that can help you even further if what I've said so far even resonates with you and if you want to enhance your life for the better. Totally up to you. I'm just sharing information. You do with it what you want. I started EFT coaching in 2009. I learned it in 2005 and I started coaching in 2009. I not only studied EFT tapping, but I spent countless hours learning and incorporating other modality techniques, energy related, and put them into the tapping that I did with clients, that I did on myself. Before learning EFT, I had trained as an EAV machine practitioner, and an EAV machine used at the time, they have cylinders that you hold now, but at the time you had to probe different meridian points. And you would get a reading if it was balanced or if it was stressed or if it was weakened. And so some of the things that I learned from that EAV machine training, I carried into my tapping because tapping also works on the meridian energy. And if you don't know about that, that's for another time in another audio. But suffice it to say, my EAV machine training gave me tips and tools of how to enhance what I did with EFT. And I now was able to marry the two skills and knowledge together. I don't want to minimize this comment because when I say this, I always think twice about it like, oh, that sounds too grandiose. But I have literally seen miraculous kind of outcomes when sitting in my chair. If you have never experienced or seen something profound that seems like a miraculous outcome, I can see how you would be skeptical. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know if I have any integrity or if I'm just a bag of wind here. So I can see how you would be skeptical, especially if you have never had that kind of experience or seen it. Let me explain how and why that can be possible now, because there are good reasons for that. Generations in the past were controlled and limited because information was limited. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have access to a lot of tools that are now available that make information so readily available. The kind of results I'm talking about are not so uncommon and are actually more common than you may realize. Whenever I hear people turning to standard old methods, that's like the default. That's where they automatically go because that's what they learned, that's what they were taught, that's what they heard. One of my first comments is always educate yourself. I may share things on my Facebook page, on my business Facebook page, and it's not necessarily that I want to say, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this is still going on. My comment usually is educate yourself, because things that have gone down for generations probably didn't work back then either, but we pass on what we learn. So generations before us didn't have access to the wealth of information that's now available to us now. The internet was not around for them. So they were limited to what they were told, what they were exposed to. They were controlled by it. I will just suffice it to say they were controlled. When you're kept in the dark, somebody else is in control. They weren't exposed to anything beyond what their elders or parents or community showed them that was possible or impossible. That lack of information is what keeps people in the dark. And when the information is more available, choices and possibilities are revealed. That wasn't possible in generations in the past. So they passed on what they only knew in the best way that they knew how. Right or wrong, that's how it happens. So people have become so much more informed and given choices that they never knew were even possible. They've opened their minds to outcomes that they were told were few and far between because, quite honestly, miracles are probably perceived as something that happened to other people, but not to us and our family. It doesn't happen around us. That's just for special people. Not necessarily, but if that's what you were told, if you never saw other possibilities, that's what you would formulate in your mind as truth. Old paradigms, old structures that were the only way in the past are now falling apart because people are becoming more informed and can't be kept in the dark anymore. You can't hide information with the internet out there now. You can't keep people in the dark who are seeking answers when there is so much available information. Do you see what I'm talking about? It's not necessarily that anybody did you wrong or tried to keep information from you. It just wasn't available. So they teach you what they know in the best way for survival, for living in life. We are now being bombarded and programmed by commercials that only talk about managing symptoms. Have you noticed this wave of this huge wave? They don't talk about resolving issues or enhancing your life. It's just managing the symptoms, and not for nothing, but the side effects, oh my goodness. I mean, you might want to just keep the problem, for heaven's sakes. That's another bandwagon, so let me stop right here. I'm here to tell you that, oh yes, some of these miraculous things are possible, and if you educate yourself with the intent of finding solutions, you'd be amazed at what can show up. People who are made to be afraid, who are kept in the dark, are easy to control and manipulate because they don't know any different. That control has for sure served its purpose for some situations in the past. I'm sure that's enough to suffice it to say people who are controlled are easily manipulated. I grew up in a very traditional home, raised in a very traditional Catholic church, and attended kindergarten through grade 12 in a Catholic school. The message at my church and school was all about God-fearing, don't step out of line, you will go to hell and you will be punished. It was very much about control. I don't know that they realized that's what they were doing because that's what they were taught, but I have to say that none of that ever felt right to me, even as a child. But I didn't see another avenue until much later. Still, I was the one in my family that sought out the alternative solutions, and as a young girl, I didn't know how to create the changes that I wanted, but I knew what I was being told. Just, it didn't feel right. For those people who hear about energy techniques and get freaked out, let me put your mind at ease, because I think once you understand, you don't have to think this is woo-woo, because it is clearly not. It is something we use all the time. We use our energy all the time, whether we know it or not. Have you ever met someone that you immediately feel an attachment to, though you've never met them before? There's just kind of a bonding. It feels like really easy to talk to them. You are using your energy. You are reading their energy when you are tuning into that kind of feeling. The same is true with somebody that you feel is, like, get away from me. I don't know why I don't like you, but I just don't like how you feel to me. You're reading their energy. It is not about the senses. You are reading their energy and reacting to it energetically. You are picking up clues beyond your senses about their energy. When I start working with clients, I tell them be aware of what's changing in your outer world around you. Because when your energy changes, the people around you will be different. You will draw in different people around you, different circumstances. When we change the energy, our world around us changes. People will start reacting to us differently. I tell clients to, pay attention. If somebody says, what did you do? Did you cut your hair? Did you lose weight? Something's different about you. They are picking up clues beyond their senses about your energy. They can feel the shift. But if you've never been taught about energy, it just sounds like a woo-woo something or other. And, watch your back because you might get a curse or something. All that junk and limitation of the past we use our energy all the time. It's such a part of us. And the more you know how to enhance it and use it to work for you, the more your life can enhance. So when you recognize the change, but can't put a finger on what's different, it's happening around you, you'll know why, because your energy is changing and shifting. I promise you, you are using your energy all the time, whether you know it or not, or whether or not it's working for you. So now that you know that's part of your normal everyday, wouldn't you kind of want to know how to use it to your benefit? I don't know. That's just me, but yes, I did want to know. Once people start to unravel their subconscious beliefs, change them, and change the energy reactions within the body, easy changes can start to happen. So you might be saying, okay, like what, Joanne? Tell me what. So easy changes can show up about career opportunities, or certain people may show up out of the blue and you're thinking, oh, that's just coincidence. Probably not. Your energy is shifting and drawing in something different. Changing years of the same pattern, or having different people react to you differently, being free of years of pain. And I will tell you, even symptoms as severe as MS, I have seen dissolve with one of my clients. I have been told they dissolved from one of my clients. It is possible. I'm not saying that I did anything to cure, treat, or diagnose. In fact, we never even really tapped on those symptoms. We tapped on all the other stuff that was in the way that was creating the symptoms. It's freaky. I get it. But my goodness, it's amazing. I would say, instead of being freaked out by that, I look at that with amazement, saying, look at what is possible. Oh my goodness. Marriage and families have been created as a result of tapping to change beliefs. Students' grades have improved, along with reduction in anxiety and anger levels, and resolutions have replaced staying in unwanted situations that have gone on for years. Amazingly happy outcomes have replaced tension-filled years of painful patterns. I could go on and on with what I've seen in my coaching chair. Everybody's got their stuff. Me too. Everybody. Coaches have their stuff. Everybody has their stuff. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how long you've been working on things to change them. I know one of the things that stops many people, and I would say especially men, is because if you have a belief that it's wrong to share your dirty laundry, that used to be a saying years ago. I don't know if it still is or not, or if it's been passed down enough, or that you're supposed to be in control, or it's a weakness if you are suffering in some way, that there's a shame about that, a safety issue and a privacy issue that starts shaking your world. When you've got all that in your belief system, you may stay stuck because you're in shame and privacy. Don't share your dirty stuff. Don't tell people about and heaven forbid, if you're a man, you can't be vulnerable like that. What the heck is wrong with you? That's not very manly. A lot of those beliefs are still working on so many people. I can't believe it, but it's true. What if instead you could change those beliefs and eliminate the stuck energy and subconscious beliefs in private? What if you could understand why and how the subconscious holds onto things and how body reactions get locked up inside? Because there is a method of how this stuff happens. And by knowing all that, what if you could use tools to change and release what is unwanted? I've had many clients tell me that they've gone through years of therapy without a whole lot of change. And I did some of the same thing myself. We were going to the tried and true. That's what we heard worked, right? I've had clients that were so ashamed of their situation and some past events, but until they got into a crisis point, they didn't seek help. I had a college student about to graduate, but he was plagued with upsetting, invasive thoughts that were so scary to him that he felt so ashamed of, he did not seek help of any kind. He didn't want to talk about them, but you can sometimes resolve those kind of situations with some guidance, which I provide, that you don't have to get into sharing it out loud. You can actually still resolve some things without going into huge detail if you just are tuning in and paying attention to it. He didn't have to share his deepest, darkest secrets, and yet he still got relief and results. I am not claiming, hear me when I say this, I am not claiming to diagnose, cure, or treat anything. I'm giving a perspective from an energy point of view, so take it or leave it. I want to talk for a minute about the energy of addictions. Like I said, I'm not claiming to treat, diagnose, or cure. I don't have a background in this. I'm talking about what I have seen from an energetic point of view. When we turn to addictive habits, I'll just speak to my own. When I turn to my replays of things that I've done that are soothing, the comfort food, all that kind of stuff. When we turn to those addictive habits or substances, it is a way of coping that we learned was the only solution at the time. When we try to eliminate those, the coping mechanisms, without soothing or healing the pain that we're trying to run from or cover up, we go into more stress. That's why behaviors start out in the first place to try to cope. Unless or until there's a way to release that subconscious and energetic pain, that's been covered up and run from and denied, is it any wonder why people revert? You can't take away what they used to cope if you don't ease the pain or eliminate it or do something to change it to bring relief. There would be no need for a coping mechanism if there was no pain underneath, if the habit didn't develop to try to cope. Doesn't that make sense? I don't know. To me, it makes a whole lot of sense. That's why I wanted to share it. Like I said, I'm not here to cure, diagnose, or treat. It's just an energetic point of view that I've noticed with different clients. When you take away the need for some behavior, it kind of dissolves. It can lighten, it can lessen. Just take it for what it's worth and how I mean it. What will you do to enhance your life? Most people wait until there's a crisis or a huge turmoil or an inability to cope before feeling forced to change. And a lot of stuff starts gaining momentum at midlife. So is it any wonder that people are, labeled with having a midlife crisis? The stakes get higher, the changes get bigger. There's a lot more stuff that happens just as part of life. And people have the best of intentions with New Year's resolution until those patterns kick in and sabotage us. Will you go through more years of feeling disempowered? Or does it sound appealing to you to create joyful, unlimited possibilities that you can't yet see? You don't have to figure out the how-tos, but you can create them when you change your energy and do some cleanup. If that sounds too far-fetched, then I would say to you, educate yourself. My EFT coaching audios and videos are about uncovering what you want, finding out what is blocking you, lightening those beliefs, and changing the energy to create what you do want, not constantly focusing on what you don't want. Some internet gurus become almost like dictators of do this 1, 2, 3 step and you will get the same results. And what happens when a lot of people can't do those 1, 2, 3 steps? Then what do? The same plan does not work for everybody. The idea is people have some common issues, but the triggers may be different. The things and programs that I create, my coaching and guiding is about what feels right to you, not trying to shove something down your throat that you're resisting and repelling. If it doesn't feel right to you, you're not likely to want to continue and you'll be in resistance. Well, that defeats the whole purpose. In my opinion, a coach and a mentor is one who helps you uncover your gifts and talents, helps you to see what is in your way, and guides you through a safe process of change. I had a lot of dictators around me when I was growing up, and their ways of doing things just never felt right to me. I don't remember ever being guided to explore my heart and soul desires or how to create that kind of environment for myself. I found different avenues by seeking and trying different modalities, and I haven't mentioned yet that I was introduced to EFT decades after my youth by an extremely open-minded priest. Yes, I said I was introduced to energy and different modalities by an open-minded priest. Oh my goodness, I wish I had met him when I was in the K through 12 years, but I didn't. I didn't meet him until decades later. Talk about an open shock, open-minded shock. I mean, it was, I clearly remember his comment when he said that healing is much more common than people realize. Well, come on. Now you can imagine my surprise after growing up in such a strict, traditional, fear-based religious school and church. I remember thinking, wait, what? Wait, what did he just say? He piqued my interest and I wanted to know more, so I began searching and studying based on what he was telling us about. If you feel stuck, limited, and exasperated by doing the same things over and over again, but you don't know how to change them, if you want to learn more about how these things got stuck and how to release them, I have an avenue that might help you. Several years ago, I got these intuitive nudges to start doing instructional tapping videos. I would record them on my computer and I stockpiled them. It was just me with my computer. I didn't know what I was going to do with them. I didn't know how I was going to use them or if I would ever use them. I just had this intuitive nudge and thought about creating videos, and I just started. I've taken those videos along with new audios and videos, and I've created a membership site where you can explore, learn, grow, release your shame and the heavy emotions you've been afraid to speak. and process and release them in privacy. I want to reach those people that are seeking solutions. I'm not looking to convince anybody. I don't want to reach those people that have been beating themselves up for habits and want to continue doing that. No, that's not who would be drawn to this kind of work. If you want change, if you want something to shift, you've got to try different things outside of the same old that created the situations in the first place, right? When I hear people beating themselves up over behaviors or loops or addictions, something swells up inside of me that I would love to say to them, but they had a purpose and they haven't gotten stuck just kind of by happenstance. Things happen. Unwanted patterns can be learned or used to help us cope. Without empowering solutions, though, we stay in those frustrating and bothersome patterns. That's why releasing the subconscious beliefs and stuck emotions is extremely beneficial. That's why changing the energy can open up a new way of life, possibilities, and joy. Listen to your gut about me and what I'm saying. If any of this resonates with you, check out my membership site. It includes explanation and tapping audios and videos. I think when people understand the why and the how behind the actions, their internal self-talk and judgment starts to ease, the resistance lowers, and understanding is met with openness and, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now what? There are tools that can help you ease, reduce, and eliminate those unwanted loops that we have kept replaying. If this makes sense to you, I would encourage you to check out my tapping membership site. It's tapping.me. I don't know you, but I know if you're struggling, my heart goes out to you because I have been in those shoes and it's an awful place to be. It's so frustrating, especially when some part of you believes it could be different. Whether you check out my membership site or not, whether you ever buy a product or program from me or not, whether you ever seek me out as a coach, I want you to know that it's more than possible and likely that there is a solution to what you're struggling with. And I'm talking about even the seemingly impossible solutions. Educate yourself and get in alignment with people who believe in possibilities. Because if you're around naysayers, boy, they can take you down in a heartbeat. If you don't resonate with me, if I don't resonate for you, then find those people that do resonate with you. I just hope you won't give up or surrender to thoughts of impossibilities, or that's just the way it is and you have to live with it. Or, I would say that most likely that is not just the way it is. If you want to know more about me, you can check out my website, trueauthenticpower.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch some of my videos, listen to some of my audios, check out more of information about my tapping.me site, and all the links are below. The more people seek, the more miracles are happening. The more that the miracles are happening, the more testimonials are coming out. The more testimonials are coming out, the more proof is coming out from research and documentation. There might be a solution that you never knew was possible before. I wish you solutions, resolutions, health, wealth, and joy in your life. If you know someone that might be helped by this info, share this info with them. Share my audios with them. Tell them about tapping. The more we talk about it, the fewer people will remain in the darkness and being controlled without hope. It's such a miserable place to be. I will just say, until our paths cross again next time, this is Joanne from TrueAuthenticPower.com and from Tapping.me. Bye-bye for now.